the man that I thought I was, but I am the person I choose to be. That choice was not always clear nor obvious, but in time, that choice became the only way to live. The words I'm about to express to you all are words capturing my own experience with my own reality. What you choose to make of it, I leave entirely up to you. You see, just 4 years ago, I was absolutely convinced that I wanted to end my life. Suicide was the only thing I saw as a way out. As a way out of what, you may ask? As a way out of my own mind. You see, at that time, I thought I had everything going right for me. I just graduated from the honors physiology program. I was about to move out into my own apartment for the first time after being accepted to medical school. I had a loving and long-term relationship with my girlfriend, and I had tons of family and friend support. Yet, without notice or fair warning, everything that I thought was going right just suddenly crumbled. Before I knew it, it wasn't long before my family situation was falling apart. My closest friends were distancing themselves from me, and my relationship with my girlfriend was walking on a tightrope. Why that all happened at the time, I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think it's quite relevant. What I do know is that I began to find myself in a place of utter darkness. I remember one specific day when I was studying at the library here on campus. I had an exam in just a few days, and the library was filled with colleagues at that time. And I remember staring right at my computer screen. My eyes were just looking straight through the words. Nothing was really being processed anymore. I was just staring at it blankly. And I remember my chin suddenly crumpling up, suddenly starting to feel a little short of breath, feeling quite nervous and anxious. And as I looked around, hoping someone would notice, I began to feel tears coming down my face. Before I knew it, I remember shouting the words to my surroundings, "Please, someone, anyone, please, help me. I cannot live like this anymore." But I quickly realized that I wasn't shouting at all. In fact, my lips were just moving and no words were coming out. I decided that moment then and there to pack up my stuff, and I sprinted towards the McGill Mental Health Services. I was informed at one point that there was an urgent counseling service, so I got myself there as soon as I could. But when I got there, however, the counseling services were over for the day, and I knew at that point that I was on my own. The thought of returning home to my apartment by myself was utterly terrifying, but somehow my trembling legs brought me there anyway. When I had got there, I dropped my bag on my apartment floor, and then I too slowly found myself dragging down against the wall. I was hysterical. I was crying and screaming, just hoping for all this to end. All the mental torment that I found myself dealing with to just come to an end so I could be free of it all and liberated. And then my head slowly gazed up at the ceiling, and I had the most vivid image come to mind. I saw myself tying a rope, a noose, from which to hang myself from and finally end my life. The thought of my loved ones walking in and seeing me hanging breathlessly was just too much to bear, and so I never did find the strength to do it. That summer I knew I needed to get away, so I decided to pack up and I took off on a trip for 2 months by myself. When I got back, however, from that engaging trip, I quickly realized that all that I thought I had escaped just fell right back onto my lap. And the thing that was interesting is that everything around me was going well. My family was coming back together. My closest friends were coming back into my life. My relationship with my girlfriend was becoming better than it ever was before. But yet somehow in my mind, I was convinced that life was not worth living. And before I knew it, the thought of suicide just crept right back into my life again. I soon found myself coming home, and I remember one specific day when I looked up and I saw myself jumping off the roof of my apartment building. And the idea of that leap, I don't know to this day what that on and off moment was, but something inside of me said, this can't go on any longer. And so, right then and there, I decided I was going to reach out to a counseling service. The moment I got home, I reached out to McGill's counseling service and immediately signed myself up, which started, I think, just a few days after that. And at the beginning, I could assure you it was not enjoyable one bit. Quite frankly, I thought I was experiencing more stress and anxiety going through the counseling process than I was not going through it. But that was at the beginning anyway. It didn't end up amounting to that. In time, when I began to start seeing light being pierced through the dark clouds above me, I started to realize how much more enjoyable life can be if I could start seeing things with a different perspective. I soon started to tap into some things that I thought would better add to all that I was experiencing with the counseling service. And so I want to share some of them with you here today. The very first one that I did for myself was video self-recording. Literally, this implied me sitting in front of my desk every day, the second I get home from the hospital or from classes, and I would press record and just literally vent, express myself all the good and all the bad of my day. What I quickly realized how great this idea was is that I had the opportunity to press rewind, reflect on all that I claimed was bad, and actually look and ask myself, well, what was it that was so bad about it, and how could I get rid of that so it doesn't have to be a recurring theme every day? But on top of that, I also got to ask myself, well, what are the elements that are positive, and what can I do to make that more? So that was video self-recording. It always made for a good laugh to know that my neighbors are probably laughing in the hallway because our doors and walls are so thin between each other, but I don't think we spoke the same language, so I don't think it really mattered. The second element was one that I always encouraged myself to do, was written reflection. Every day, I wouldn't allow myself to sleep unless I answered the following 4 questions. The very first one, what would you rate your day on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. The second, what did you not have control of today? The third, what did you have control of today? And the fourth, what did you learn about yourself today? Now, those are just 2 elements. The third one is one I already shared with you all, which was making the effort to seek out help from a professional. Whether it was starting with the counseling service here or going towards a phone service directed towards medical students and physicians, I made the time on a weekly, then every 2 weeks, then on a monthly, then every 2-month basis to ensure that I was speaking to somebody who had the skills to better guide me forward. So I'm asking you to join me in a little bit of a positive affirmation setup here, okay? And I know the robotic voice will come out, and that's totally fine. I enjoy it. So I'm going to ask you to repeat after me. I choose to seek help. I love the robot. It's always there. Not because I am weak, but because I choose to be strong. Fantastic. I love it. Okay. So something I started to realize when I started to look into this and started to tap into getting myself better along my way, I started to ask myself, well, how many other people are actually being affected by this? And before I knew it, I came across Statistics Canada's statement stating that from people aged 14 to 34, suicide is the second leading cause of death, preceded only by accident. Then I came across the number that 450 doctors commit suicide every year just in the United States and Canada alone. 450. That is 2 of this entire class cohort, probably more than that actually. And that is only accounting for those successfully managing to commit suicide. That's not accounting for the thousands of others with suicidal ideation, substance abuse, or chronic depression. Since the time I started medical school, 3 colleagues committed suicide. 1 staff member, 1 resident, and 1 third-year medical student, all across Quebec. So I came across an article in 2010 by JAMA, which found that 53% of medical students at one point during their medical studies will experience mental burnout. 14% moderate to severe depression, and 8% suicidal ideation. I then came across another article then questioning what are the barriers preventing medical students from seeking the help that they may very well benefit from. And they found that 48% of students felt that it was simply a lack of time. 37% felt that there was a lack of feeling of confidentiality. 28% feared the potential financial costs, while 24% felt that there would be academic repercussions for doing so. I think some of these statements may very well still resonate with many students today. So I'm going to ask you to join with me again. You got your vocal cords warmed up. I'm really glad. Some of you are still chewing. Don't aspirate, I promise, okay? So I'm going to ask you to repeat after me again. I choose to seek help. Not because I am weak, but because I choose to be strong. So I've come to realize that, well, what can we do as a society of medical professionals to ensure that this issue no longer has to be a reality for our colleagues and maybe even for ourselves? And I think this university in particular has come an exceptionally long way since day one that I started here. Just seeing so many beautiful activities being done so that the stigma within the medical community could be gone and be done with is profound. So that first one, of course, is sharing and discussing things within the community, making sure that students don't have to feel any form of physical or mental isolation from the idea, even if it's just remotely there. And the second one is finding the strength to seek help, not being concerned with going out and being some of the issues that I already mentioned, and going and find the help necessary. After this talk, I'll be providing you with a nice, concise document giving you all the resources, whether it be for yourself, for a colleague, for a friend, for a family member. There's resources on there. Every single one of them are completely free. Some of them devoted entirely for medical professionals, others for university students here, and others just for the general public alike. So after the last few years, I came to realize another thing. I came to realize a lot of things with this speech. So I came to realize that the road towards self-actualization is a never-ending one filled with countless obstacles and confrontations. Though if there's one thing I know for certain is that there is no obstacle in life greater than that which we create for ourselves. Without notice or fair warning, we can become our own greatest fear, our own greatest enemy, heck, our own greatest nightmare. But, granted the chance to have a change of perspective, we may just be blessed with the single greatest teaching opportunity that has ever come our way. So if my mission statement has not been clear up until this point, I have but this last thing to say. That if any one of you in this room has ever experienced anything even remotely similar to what I have gone through, will experience it or are presently going through it, that if even just 1% of you manage to gain something from this, hope, inspiration, courage to seek help in whatever way, shape, or form, that you know you are never alone. We choose to seek help, not because we are weak, but because we choose to be strong. And in the words of the infamous psychiatrist Viktor Frankl, everything can be taken from a person but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. The choice of one is pivotal, but the choice of many united is unstoppable. Thank you.